Good afternoon, friends. Today we will discuss Unit 12 of Financial Management. It deals with dividend theories. Let me first tell you what will be the objective of this class. The objective of this class is to explain the nature and significance of dividend decisions. We know that there are three important decisions. One is investment decision, another is financing decision, another is dividend decision. So in this class, we will discuss the nature and significance of dividend decision. Then we will discuss various theories of dividend policy. What is theories of dividend policies? These theories of dividend policy explain the relationship between dividend policy and value of the firm. So we will discuss these two things in today's class. So what will be our structure of discussion? First, we will give an introduction of the subject. Then we will discuss different theories of dividend. The theories of dividend can be classified into two parts. There are some relevance theories and there are some irrelevance theory. In relevance theory, we will discuss three important theory. One is traditional theory, another is Walter's model, another is Gordon's model. And in irrelevance theory, we will discuss one important theory that is known as Modigliani and Miller's theory or hypothesis theory. We will discuss this. Then we will summarize our discussion. We will discuss some questions. We will discuss some keywords and conclude our session today. So first, let me introduce the topic to you. We know that finance manager has three important decisions to take. First decision it takes from where it will obtain the funds. That decision is known as financing decision. Once the funds are obtained, the next decision the finance manager takes where to employ these funds. That means he want to invest these funds. That decision is known as investment decisions. So once the funds are obtained and these are invested, the next thing the business operates its operation and profit comes. Once the profit comes, the next important decision the finance manager takes how to distribute this profit, how to allocate this profit. What percentage of profit is to be retained by the business and what percentage of profit is to be redistributed to the owners of the business. And that decision is known as dividend decision. So we know that the dividend decision is an integral part of any financial decision. Dividend decision is all about dividing the profit. It's the decision regarding division of profit between payment to shareholders and how much profit is to be retained. That is retained earning. How much earning is to be retained. So dividend decision is all about two things. That is distribution of profit. How much profit should be distributed as dividend and how much profit is to be retained for future. That part of profit which is retained for future, that is known as retained earning. That means the total profit of the business is divided into two parts. Some portion of profit is retained as retained earning and the other portion is distributed to the owners as dividend, and this decision is known as dividend decision. That means in this case we will study regarding proper optimum utilization of funds. Once the income occurs to the business, we want to study the utilization of funds. So this is known as dividend decisions, or dividend decision is the decision regarding distribution of fair amount of dividend to shareholders and make provision for retained earning. Retained earning is required so that sufficient profit is available to sufficient reserve is available for future financing opportunities. Sufficient reserve is available to absorb future business shocks. Sufficient reserve is available to retire the existing bonds or retire old bonds, and sufficient Profit is available for redeeming other debts. That is known as effective management of income. So dividend decision is all about effective management of income of an organization. The income of an organization should be managed in such a way that a fair amount of dividend is paid to the shareholders and sufficient provision is made for future investment opportunity and sufficient provision is made to absorb the shock of the business and sufficient provision is made to redeem the existing debt of the business. So this is known as dividend decision. So dividend decision is the decision regarding two important ratios. What are the ratios? First ratio is that is payout ratio. So what is payout ratio? Payout ratio is equal to that percentage of profit which is distributed to shareholders as dividend. Let's take an example. Suppose a business has earning of 60,000. Out of this 60,000, the business decide to give a dividend of 40,000 and it retain the earning of 20,000. So retained earning is 20,000. Retained earning is 20,000. So we have to calculate two important ratio. First ratio is payout ratio. How payout ratio is calculated? Payout ratio is equal to dividend divided by earning. What is dividend? Dividend is how much? Dividend is 40,000 and what is the earning? Earning is 60,000. So how much it is coming? 2 by 3, that is 66.67 percentage. That is 66.67 percentage is your payout ratio. And what is your retention ratio? How much retention ratio? That is equal to retained earning by earning. Retained earning by earning. Retained earning is how much? Retained earning by earning. Your retained earning is 20,000, earning is 60,000, so it is coming 1 by 3, that is equal to 33.33 percentage. So there are two important ratio. One is retention ratio, another is payout ratio. So we have to decide these two important ratios in dividend decisions. What will be the retention ratio of the business and what will be the payout ratio of the business? That is to be decided under dividend decisions. Okay. So dividend decision is the decision regarding deciding how many percentage of profit is to be retained in the business, how many percentage of the profit is to be plowed back in the business, and how many percentage of profit is to be paid out to shareholders as dividend. It's the decision regarding two important ratio, payout ratio and retention ratio. Next, we will discuss theories of dividend. What are different theories of dividend? We know that the value of a farm is the function of many things. The value of a farm, value of an organization depends upon many things. So the equation is value of a farm is a function of I, F, D, T, small f and many other things. What is I? Value of a farm depends upon investment made by the farm. Where, in which projects the person has invested. Value of a farm depends upon the investment made. Then value of a farm depends upon F, that is debt equity mix, that is the capital structure of the project. Next, value of a farm depends upon the tax rate, which determines the earning available. Value of a farm determine upon dividend decisions, and value of a farm determines upon flotation cost, and there are many other factors which affect the value of a farm. But the dividend theory explain the relationship between dividend decision and value of the farm, remaining other things constant. What is other things constant? I, F, T, small f will remain constant, and we will analyze the relationship between D and V. What is D? Dividend means dividend decision, and V value of the farm. What is the relationship between D and V? What is the keeping other factors constant is known as dividend theories. So what is dividend theories? In case of dividend theory, we explain the relationship between dividend decision and value of the firm, keeping other factors, that is investment, capital structure, tax rate, flotation cost, and any other factors constant, and we'll find out the relationship between dividend policy and value of the firm. That is known as dividend decisions. So dividend decisions explain the relationship between dividend policy and value of the firm. So in a theory of dividend, the value of the firm is taken to be a function of dividend decisions where other influencing variables are held constant. So now we will discuss different dividend theories. We have already discussed the dividend theories are classified into two parts. What are the two parts of dividend theories? Dividend theories are relevance theories. What is relevance theory? Relevance theory tells that dividend policy or dividend decision affect the value of the firm. And there are certain irrelevance theory. What is irrelevance theory? Irrelevance theory tells that dividend theories does not affect the value of the firm. So there are two theories, relevance theory and irrelevance theory. So we'll discuss one after another. We'll discuss what is relevance theory, then we'll discuss what is irrelevance theory. What is relevance theory? The relevance theory supports the view that dividend policy has a profound impact on the value of the firm. That means the relevance theory tells dividend policy affect the value of the firm. Under relevance theory, we will study three important theories. One is Walter's theory, another is Gordon's theory, another is traditional theory. What is Walter's theory, what is Gordon's theory, and what is traditional theory? We will discuss this thing. So what is Walter's theory and Gordon's theory? We will discuss. First, Walter's theory. Walter's theory is given by Professor James E. Walter. Professor James E. Walter has emphasized the Walter's theory. And according to him, dividend policy hinges on firm's internal rate of return. That means Walter tells that there are two important variables which affect the dividend policy. What are the two important variables which affect the dividend policy? As per Walter, the two important variables which affect the dividend policy, one is R, another is K. What is R? R means internal rate of return. That is the return generated internally by the business. That is the ROI of the business. So return on investment of the business, that is the internal rate of return of the business. And K is the cost of capital of the business. That means as per Walter, the dividend policy depends upon the ROI and cost of capital. Practically, it depends upon R and K. So Walter's model tells that the dividend policy of a firm depends upon its R and K. The relationship between R and K decides the dividend policy. What can be the relationship? The relationship can be three types. R can be greater than K, R can be less than K, or R is equal to K. So there can be three situations. One is R is greater than K. Those firms where R is greater than K, that means internal rate of return is greater than cost of its capital, those are known as growth firm. So what is growth firm? Growth firm is a firm where R is greater than K. And there is R is less than K. What is R is less than K? The firm where R is less than K, that means internal rate of return is less than its cost of capital. It is known as decline firm. Then another relationship can be between R and K. R is equal to K. The firm where R is equal to K, that is known as normal firm. So there can be three firms under Walter's model. One is growth firm, normal firm, decline firm. And as per this model, the dividend policy will be different in these three firms. R and K का रिलेशन के ऊपर डिविडेंड पॉलिसी डिपेंड करेगा वाल्टर्स के हिसाब से. So there can be three cases: growth firm, decline firm, and normal firm. Accordingly, their dividend policy will be decided in growth firm, decline firm, and normal firm. And what are the assumption of the model? And we will study the model in depth. First, there are certain assumptions Walter taken for designing his model. The first assumption is taken that the firm finances new investment through retained earning only. That means the firm does not use any external funds. The firm only finance its operation through self-generated funds or through retained earning only. The second assumption of this model is the firm's internal rate of return, that is R, and firm's cost of capital, that is K, are constant. That means second assumption is R and K are constant and it does not use any external finance. It only use internal finance. Next, 100% earning is either distributed as dividend or reinvested internally. Either the firm will invest the entire profit or it will give the entire profit as dividend. Next, the initial earning and dividend remain constant forever. And the last point is the firm has a infinite lifetime. And on the basis of this, Walter has given a formula for finding out the value of the firm. The value of the firm is calculated with the help of the following formula. We will study the formula. What is the formula? Then we will discuss. The formula is P is equal to D plus E minus D by into R by K whole divided by K. So what is P? P is equal to market price of an equity share or MPS. What is D? D is equal to dividend per share or DPS. And what is E? E is equal to earning per share or EPS. So what is P? P is equal to MPS, D is equal to DPS, and E is equal to EPS. Next one is what is R? R is equal to internal rate of return. And what is K? K is equal to cost of capital. And what is E minus D? In the formula, what is E minus D? E means earning, D means dividend. Earning minus dividend. That is equal to, suppose your earning is 100, you pay dividend 70. 30 is your E minus D, that is a return on earning. And what is E minus D into R? That is equal to return on earning, retained earning. That is the return generated on retained earning. E minus D into R. These are the variables used in this model, Walter's model, for valuation of the value of a firm. Now we will see how the value of a firm changes by applying this particular model. Let's take an example, then we will find out the recommendation. So, what is the recommendations of Walter's model? I have already told Walter divided the firms into three categories. What are the three categories? First category firm is known as growth firm. What is a growth firm? Growth firm is a firm where R is greater than K. What is R is greater than K? R means return generated in the business is greater than cost of capital of the business. Suppose the return generated in the business is 12% and cost of capital is 10%. Your ROI is 12% and your cost of capital is 10%. That means if you distribute the dividend to the shareholders, shareholders will invest it somewhere else and they will get 10%. And if you do not distribute the dividend, the amount is invested in the business, the shareholder will get 12%. So in this case, shareholder will tell that please do not provide any dividend and reinvest it in your business and multiply the market value of our shares. बड़े बड़े कंपनी में क्या होता है, जो रिटर्न वो कंपनी जनरेट करता है वो रिटर्न अगर वो शेयर होल्डर को डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर दे और शेयर होल्डर लोग वो वाला प्रॉफिट का पार्ट लेकर कहीं बाहर पर इन्वेस्ट करें, उतना रिटर्न वो शेयर होल्डर लोग पा नहीं सकते. That means let's take an example. The capacity of the farm to multiply the income is more than the capacity of the individual shareholders to multiply their income. Suppose मेरा कुछ शेयर्स माइक्रोसॉफ्ट एक कंपनी लास्ट 30 साल से डिविडेंड नहीं दिया था. जब वो डिविडेंड दिया उसका शेयर प्राइस गिर गया. इसका मतलब क्या है? शेयर होल्डर्स दुखी हो गए. क्यों दुखी हुए? क्योंकि जब माइक्रोसॉफ्ट 30 साल तक डिविडेंड नहीं देता था, लोगों का पैसा वो माइक्रोसॉफ्ट में ही इन्वेस्ट करता था. अगर माइक्रोसॉफ्ट में ही वो इन्वेस्ट करता था, जो शेयर होल्डर का पैसा वो उससे जो रिटर्न को जनरेट करता था, शेयर होल्डर को अगर डिविडेंड दे दे, शेयर होल्डर उतना परसेंटेज रिटर्न उस पैसे से जनरेट नहीं कर पाता. इसीलिए शेयर होल्डर्स उसके चाहते थे माइक्रोसॉफ्ट वो पैसे को बिजनेस में री इन्वेस्ट करे और उनका शेयर का वैल्यू को मल्टीप्लाई करे. उसको बोलते हैं ग्रोथ फार्म. सो इन केस ऑफ ग्रोथ फार्म, that means what is the expectation of the shareholders? The expectation of the shareholders that companies should not pay any dividend, rather companies should retain the maximum profit. That means what should be the advice to the growth farm as per Walter's model? As per Walter's model, the advice is the company should pay 0% dividend or it retain 100% of its profit for farm's growth. So growth farm should not pay any dividend. If growth farm pays any dividends, its market value will come down. Let's take an example and we will solve it. We will see it. But it's growth farm. How? Let's take an example. Following is the details. From the following details, calculate market value of equity of a share of a company by using Walter's model. What is the opening price per share? E is given 5. Then what is dividend per share? D is given 3. What is return on investment or ROI or R? 15%. And what is cost of capital? 10%. So in this case, ROI or R is greater than K. So it's a growth farm. What is the solution? What is the recommendation? The recommendation as per Walter's model is it should pay 0% dividend. It should pay 0% dividend. Rather, it should retain 100% earning. 0% डिविडेंड देना चाहिए, 100% अर्निंग उसको रखना चाहिए. अगर वो 0% से कुछ ज्यादा एक्स्ट्रा डिविडेंड देता है, 10% डिविडेंड, 20% डिविडेंड, 50% डिविडेंड देता है, उसका मार्केट वैल्यू गिर जाएगा. As per which model? Walter's model. As per the formula, what is the value of the farm? Value of the farm is equal to, as per Walter's model, V is equal to D plus E minus D whole into R by K divided by K. And if you will apply this, in this case, what is the dividend? Question asks, will there any change in value if 100% dividends are paid instead of present 60%? Nowadays, the question tells 60% dividend is paid. Dividend is 3. It is paid. 60% is paid. So if 60% is paid, you will apply the formula D is equal to 3 plus E minus D whole into R minus K, and you will find out the value by applying the formula. You will get a value of ₹60. Similarly, question asks, if 100% earning are paid out a dividend, it's a growth farm. If 100% profit is paid, we will apply the formula, that is V is equal to D plus E minus D whole into R by K K whole divided by K, and we will find out 50% value is ₹50. And if no dividend is paid, the value is ₹75. Let's analyze the situation. One is dividend, another is percentage, another is value. If dividend percentage is 0%, the value is 75 per share. If dividend percentage is how many percentage? Is 60%, the value is 60, and if dividend percentage is 100%, then value is 50. That means its price comes down as you pay dividend. If you do not pay dividend, the market price of the share is highest. That means as per Walter's model, in case of a growth firm, the company should not pay any dividend. Its market value will be highest if dividend payment ratio is 0. That means company does not pay any dividend, and its market value will be lowest if dividend payout is 100%. If the company decides to pay 100% dividend, its market value will be lowest. So in case of growth farm, the crux is the optimum best payout ratio is 0%. In case of growth farm, the company should pay 0% dividend as per Walter's model. The next one is growth farm over. Next, Walter has suggested there are three type of farm. One is growth farm. What is the recommendation? The recommendation is the optimum payout ratio is 0%. That means the company should pay 0% dividend. Next one is decline farm. So what is a decline farm? Let me first tell you what is a decline farm. A decline farm is a farm where R is less than K. That means the R is internal rate of return. Let's take an example. Internal rate of return is 8%, and your K is 10%. K means expectation of the shareholders is 10%, but the company is generating 8%. In this case, the shareholders tells that please do not put the income of us in the business because it's a declining business. It's a decline path. If you put our money, if you put the profit in the same business, the business will generate an income of 8%. And if you pay us as dividend and we will invest it in alternative investment, we will generate an income of 10%. इसका मतलब डिक्लाइन फार्म में अगर कंपनी का इनकम होता है और वो इनकम को बिजनेस में री इन्वेस्ट करता है, 8% रिटर्न जनरेट कर सकता है. लेकिन अगर वो इनकम को डिविडेंड करके शेयर होल्डर को पेमेंट कर देता है और शेयर होल्डर किसी और अल्टरनेटिव इन्वेस्टमेंट में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं, तो वो 10% रिटर्न जनरेट कर सकते हैं. उस फार्म में शेयर होल्डर विल टेल द मैनेजमेंट, प्लीज डू नॉट keep any income as retained earning and reinvest in business. Rather, pay all the income to us as dividend. So, what is the best dividend payout ratio on case of decline farm? In case of decline farm, the best payout ratio is 100%. That means the shareholders will demand that 100% dividend is to be paid out to us. So let's take an example of this in case of which farm, in case of decline farm, how the value changes. This is a case of decline farm. In this case, the return on investment R is 10% and cost of capital is 10%. Illustration 12.1. It's a decline farm. We know that in case of decline farm, what is the best payout ratio? The decline farm, the best payout ratio should be 100%. If the company pay anything less than 100%, then its value will decline. Let's take an example. Earning per share is 5 and dividend payout ratio is 3. Rate of return is 10% and cost of capital is 10%. It's a normal farm. If both are same, it's a normal farm. If there is a difference, it is a decline farm. Let's take an example. Decline farm. Yes, this is a example of a decline farm. This is a decline farm. Just look at it. E is rupees 5, D is 3, R is equal to 7.5 and K is equal to 10%. So in this case, R is less than K. And what should be the payout ratio? Best payout ratio is 100% as per Walter's model. In the present payout ratio is 60%. Because you pay dividend of 3 out of 5, so you are paying 60% dividend. In the first case, the value of the farm is 45. You apply the formula, you find out the value will come in 45 in case of payout ratio is 60%. And if the payout ratio is 100%, the value of the farm is how much? Rupees 50. 100% value of the farm is rupees 50. And in case of 0% dividend is paid, the value of the farm is rupees 37.500%. So what is the calculations? What is the summary of the calculations? Dividend decline farm. R is less than K. What is the payout ratio? Payout ratio and value of the farm. Payout ratio and value of the farm. What is the summary? If the payout ratio is 0%, the value of the farm is 37.50 per share. And if it is 60%, the value of the farm increases to 50. And if it is 100%, the value of the farm further increases to, if it is 60%, it is 45. And if it is 100%, it is further increases to 50. So just look at these particular figures. If the payout ratio is 0%, price of the share is 37.50. If it is 60%, it is 45. If it is 100%, it is 50. That means if you go on increasing dividend percentage, the value of the farm increases. And this particular concept is known as decline farm. In case of decline farm, the best payout ratio where value of the farm is maximum, that is 100%. That means a decline farm should pay 100% dividend. So we have seen a growth farm should pay 0% dividend, a decline farm should pay 100% dividend. Next, we will see the third case of Walter's model, that is known as which farm? That is, the third case is normal farm. So what is normal farm? What is normal farm? Normal farm is a farm where R is equal to K. What is R is equal to K? In this case, the return on investment is equal to cost of capital. R is equal to K. So in this case, what is the best payout ratio? That means if you pay dividend, the shareholders generate a return of 10%. If you do not pay dividend, you reinvest the profit, you yourself generate a return of 10%. That means in this case, any payout ratio is best. There is no optimum payout ratio, no best payout ratio. Every payout ratio is best. 0% is best, 100% is best, 50% is best, 0% is good, 10% is good, 20% is good, 30% is good, 50% is good, 80% is good, 100% is good. 50, 80, 100. It means, it simply tells that dividend policy does not affect the value of the farm. That means the dividend policy does not have a say on the value of the farm. If you will apply this in a formula or in the formula developed by Walter, we can generally find out the value. This is the case of normal farm. 100% is good, 50% is good, 80% is good, 60% is good, 0% is good. This is a case of normal farm. Earning is E is equal to 5, D is 3, rate of return is 10%, cost of capital is 10%. Just look at this, R is equal to K, that is equal to 10%. And if you will apply the formula and find out the value, first case, the value comes 60%, rupees 50 per share. If payout ratio is 60%. If payout ratio increases to 100%, the value comes to rupees 50. And if it is, so it means in every case, payout ratio value If payout ratio is 60%, value is 50 per share. If it is 80%, you will find out value is 50 per share. If it is 100%, you find out value is 50 per share. It means in case of normal farm, where R is equal to K, dividend policy does not affect the value of the farm. Dividend policy is irrelevant. Dividend policy is irrelevant. Okay, so this is Walter's model. The summary of Walter's model is three things. In case of normal farm, dividend policy is irrelevant. In case of growth farm, farm should pay 0% dividend. And in case of decline farm, a farm should pay 100% dividend. This is the crux of Walter's model. Now we will discuss some of the limitations of Walter's model. So this is the crux of Walter's model. Crux of Walter's model. What is the crux? Crux of Walter's model. Just look at the crux or just look at the summary. Growth farm, what should be the dividend policy? 0% dividend. Decline farm, 100% dividend. A normal farm, dividend decision is irrelevant. This is the summary of Walter's model. Next, we will go to some of the limitation of Walter's model. What are the limitation of Walter's model? First, Walter's model tells that there is no external financing. All financing are internal financing, but practically external financing arises. People generally use external fund as well as internal or self-generating fund. Then Walter's model assumes that there is constant rate of return. That means, but in practicality, R does not remain constant. And Walter's model assumes that constant K, constant opportunity cost of capital. Practically, K also does not remain constant. Next, what are the other limitations we have discussed? So these are some of the limitations of Walter's model. Next, we will discuss another variety of relevance theory, that is Gordon's model. Gordon's model is given by Myron Gordon. His recommendations are just equal to Walter's model, but he has given it in a different way. He has explained it in a different way, but his propositions are same as Walter's propositions. That means in case of growth farm, the dividend payout ratio should be 0, and in case of decline farm, the dividend payout ratio is 100%, and in case of normal farm, the dividend payout does not affect the value of the farm. Now we'll discuss. Gordon has explained this with the help of a separate valuation model, but recommendations are same. So what are the assumptions of Gordon's model? First we will see what are the assumptions. The firm has only equity capital, no debt. So it only use equity capital. These are the assumptions of Gordon's model. Gordon's model assumptions. First assumption, the firm use only equity capital and it use only retained earning for financing activity, and R is remain constant. Internal rate of return ROI is remain constant. Discount rate is constant, and firm and its earning potentials are perpetual. The corporate tax does not exist, or if exist, corporate tax is nil, and the retention ratio once decided, that remains constant. The retention ratio is represented as B, and the discount rate is greater than growth rate. So in this case, another concept called that is growth rate. What is growth rate? In Gordon's model, growth rate is G. G is equal to B into R. So what is B? What is R? So B means retention ratio. R means internal rate of return. R is constant, B is constant, so G is constant. And last thing is growth rate, the discount rate, that is K is greater than growth rate G, or K is greater than BR. This is the assumptions of Walter's Gordon's model. And what is the valuation formula given under Gordon's model? The Gordon's model has given the following valuation formula. What is the valuation formula? P0 is equal to E1 whole into 1 minus P divided by K minus PR. This is the formula of Gordon's valuation model. Gordon's valuation model, P0 is equal to E1 whole into 1 minus B whole divided by K minus PR. This is Gordon's model. Gordon's model. Now what is P0? P0 is equal to market price per share. What is E? E is earning per share at the year end one. What is B? B is equal to retention ratio. Retention ratio, I have told how many percentage of profit is retained by the business. So if B is equal to retention ratio, 1 minus B is equal to payout ratio. So I have discussed dividend policy is deciding regarding B and 1 minus B. Retention ratio and payout ratio. Retention ratio plus payout ratio is always equal to 1. Hence, B is equal to retention ratio. Payout ratio will be 1 minus B. And what is K? K is equal to cost of capital of the business. And what is R? R is equal to return on investment. And I have discussed G. What is G? G is equal to growth rate. How G is calculated? G is equal to B into R. We have already discussed. G is equal to BR. B means retention ratio. R is return on investment. These are the ingredients or inputs of this model. And if you will apply this model, you will find that in case of growth farm, when the farm pays more and more dividend, its market value declines. And if it is pay less and less dividend, its market value increases. And in case of decline farm, it's just the opposite. And in case of normal farm, it does not change. Let's take an example. You will find out. This is a case. First case is dividend policy and value of the farm. First case is of growth farm. R is greater than K. R is 0.16%. K is equal to 0.12, that is equal to 12%. And EPS is equal to 12. First case, growth farm. And in this case, if the payout ratio is 30%, you see the market price is 450. Payout ratio 30%, market price 450. Payout ratio increases from 30% to 60%. Market price, what happens? Falls to 129, drastically falls. And if payout ratio again increases to 90%, payout ratio is 60%, then the market price falls. If it is 90%, market price again falls. That means in case of growth farm, the company should pay less and less dividend. Rather, the best payout ratio is 0%. Similarly, in case of decline farm, you see when payment percentage payout ratio increases, first case the value of the farm was 63, and when it is payout ratio is 30%, if it increases to 60%, the value of the farm increases to 86, and if it increases to again 90%, its value also increases to 97. That means in this case the best payout ratio is 100%. That means in first case, the growth farm should pay less and less dividend. Decline farm should pay more and more dividend. And what is the case of normal farm? In case of normal farm, you see in every case, the value, farm value is equal to 100. Second case, in the payout ratio is 30%, it is 100. If payout ratio is 60%, it is 100. If payout ratio is 90%, it's 100. It means the dividend policy does not affect the value of the farm. In this case, it is dividend policy is irrelevant. So we have discussed two important theories of dividend policy. One is Walter's model, another is Gordon's model. Walter's model, Gordon's model classify the farm into three parts. One is normal farm, growth farm, decline farm. In case of growth farm, both the theory tells that the dividend payout ratio should be 0%. And both the theory tells that in case of decline farm, the dividend payout ratio should be 100%. And in case of normal farm, the dividend payout ratio is any payout ratio is based dividend payout ratio. That means dividend policy is irrelevant. So this is relevance theory. Next we will go to the next type of theory, that is known as irrelevance theory of dividend theory. Irrelevance theory. Irrelevance theory is given by Modigliani and Miller, two Nobel laureate professors. They have got Nobel Prize for their work on capital market, and in short it is known as MM theory or MM hypothesis of dividend policy. MM theory is the irrelevance dividend theory, and they have used data on capital market and proved that the dividend policy does not affect the value of the firm if certain assumptions hold good. So what are the assumptions of his theory and what is the recommendation? The recommendation is fixed on if the following assumptions are operational, then the dividend policy will not affect the value of the firm. This is known as MM theory. So MM theory is a irrelevance theory. So MM theory is based upon certain assumptions. What are the assumptions? First assumption of MM theory is the capital market are perfect. There is perfect capital market where information is readily available. Everybody get all information available in the market. Next assumption is investors behave rationally, and transaction, there is no transaction cost and flotation cost. Transaction cost, flotation cost does not exist. Securities are divisible. That means you can buy half share, 1.5 share, 1.2 share, which is practically not possible. But their assumption is securities are divisible, and companies' investment policy are independent of dividend policy. Investment opportunities and future profit of the company are known. Next, tax does not exist, or if exist, the dividend tax and capital gain tax are equal. So what is the assumption? There is no corporate tax, and if tax exists, the tax on dividend income and tax on capital gain income are same. Then the investor can forecast future price and dividend with certainty. Investor has a forecasting ability. If all these things are correct, MM tells us dividend policy does not affect the value of the firm. For this, MM give a explanation. What is the explanation MM tells? MM tells that suppose a firm has investment opportunities. It has to invest its fund in future, and it declare dividend. And if it is declared dividend and you tell that by paying dividend, the firm's market price will increase. Okay, I admit it. MM tells that by declaring dividend, your market price increases. Okay, I admit it, market price increases. Then what MM tells that if a firm has an investment opportunities and it declare dividend, then two things can happen. In future, when fund requirement is there, the firm will go for loan or firm will issue new shares. If the firm go for loan or debt, it has to pay interest. And if it pays interest, its future profit will decline. Future profit will decline. If future profit will decline, then what will happen? Its market price will decline in future. What MM tells that right now the market price increases, and in future the market price declines. Whatever increase you get by payment of dividend, and it will decline by additional additional loan taken for investment opportunities, for which you have to pay future regular interest, and your future profit will decline, and future profit share will be less for the shareholders, and as a result of which the benefit you get by taking dividend is neutralized by fall in the market price. So ultimately the dividend policy does not affect the value of the farm. That means if there is increase now and similar amount of decrease, then the farm's value remains constant. It does not affect the value of the farm. So first case, if a farm has investment opportunity and in declared dividend, market price increases now, in future it has to take loan. Nay, the farm may choose that in future I will issue additional shares. If additional shares are issued in future, number of shareholders will increase. If number of shareholder increase, then earning per share will decrease, per share earning will decrease. If per share earning will decrease, the market price will decline. The same thing, the Miller explains that if a farm has investment opportunity and it declares dividend, and you tell that its price increases by payment of dividend, in future it has to issue additional shares for its investment opportunities. And when additional shares are issued, number of equity shareholders increases. And once number of equity share increases, your per share value, EPS, decreases. Once EPS decreases, then market price will decrease. So whatever increase in price due to payment of dividend will be neutralized in future due to decrease in market price. Hence, what happens? The dividend policy does not affect the value of the farm. This is the explanation given by Miller. But Miller's formula or is the explanation suffer from certain limitation. We will see what are the limitation of his model. His model suffer from the limitation that comes from the assumption he has taken. What are the assumptions he has taken? He has taken there is a difference between capital gain tax and dividend tax, but no difference. But practically there is a difference between capital gain tax and dividend tax. Miller has assumed that there is no flotation cost, but practically flotation cost exists. So this is the limitation of model. Model assumes that there is no transaction cost, though monitoring cost. Information is freely available, but information has a cost. And each and every share transaction involves transaction cost or issue expenses, brokerage like this. So transaction cost and monitoring cost exist. Therefore, the model does not work. And model assume that the capital market is a perfect capital market. Model will work only when the capital market is perfect. But you know that in economics you have studied that perfect market is a myth. It's a theoretical concept. No market in the world is perfect. There are imperfections in the market. So model is an academic endeavor. It will only operate if there is perfect capital market. If perfect capital market is not there, model will not work. So we will summarize our discussion today. So in our today's class, we have discussed regarding dividend decisions. What is dividend decision? It's the decision regarding investment. It's the decision regarding the allocation of profit. What percentage of profit is to be retained by the business and what percentage of profit is to be paid back by dividend. So dividend decision is all about deciding two important ratio. One is retention ratio, another is payout ratio. Next, we have discussed dividend theories. What is dividend theory? Dividend theory explains the relationship between dividend policy and value of the farm. The dividend theories are classified into two parts. One part is relevance theory, another is irrelevance theory. Relevance theory tells that dividend policy affect the value of the firm. The relevance theory is further classified into two parts, Walter's theory and Gordon's theory. But its irrelevance, Walter's theory and Gordon's theory classify the farms into three parts, normal farm, growth farm and decline farm. They recommend that in case of growth farm, the best payout ratio is 0%. And in case of decline farm, the best payout ratio is 100%. And in case of normal farm, there is no best payout ratio. All payout ratio are best, all payout ratio are optimum. Hence, the dividend policy does not have a say on the market value of the share. So this is the relevance model of dividend theory. Next, irrelevance model of dividend theory is given by Modigliani Miller. An model tells that the dividend policy does not affect the value of the firm, but his model is based upon the most important assumption that perfect capital market exists. But in practice, perfect capital market does not exist. Hence, there are two conflicting views, contradicting views on the impact of dividend decision and value of the firm in case of dividend theories. So what are the questions? We'll discuss. The important questions is, first explain Walter's model, explains Gordon's model, explain theory. These are the three important questions, and there are some practical questions. You have to solve these practical questions. And in this discussion, we have discussed P ratio, price earning ratio. Then we have discussed dividend. We have discussed payout ratio and retention ratio. Payout ratio is that percentage profit you pay as dividend, and retention ratio is that percentage of profit which you retain, reinvest and plow back in the business. And these are certain further reading for this particular chapter. Thank you. Thank you for attending my class. Thank you.